Welcome to being at home with George during COVID. I'm excited about being here today and talking about this possibility of being able to embrace whatever comes up, good, the bad, the ugly, the challenges, the difficulty, the pleasant, the unpleasant, and also to generate hope and to generate enough hope so that we continue to move forward, continue to move towards the goal. So we've been talking about this every week. And the interesting thing is what helps us by embracing things is that we're able to be like water, to be flexible. And why is that important? Because things don't work out the way we want. And we have to be able to continue to move in the direction of our goal or our dream or our ideal. And I want to use the definition of success that I got from Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret. And he says, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. And being like water helps us to do that. And it's really important because stuff happens, things happen. And for a lot of us, this coronavirus thing happened and it's still happening. And we don't really know when it's going to end or how it's going to end. So we have to be able to make progress without stopping and shutting things down and shutting things off, but just being able to live and to move with life in spite of everything that's happening. So this idea of being like water is really helpful for this time. And so I'd like to talk about this idea. There's a quote I got from Bruce Lee, be like water. This idea, what does it mean to be like water? And he had a student that came to him and said something to the effect that one of his legs was longer than the other leg. And Bruce said, okay, now we know which leg you're going to kick with. That's a sense of be like water. Just go with the flow. Just whatever's there, just deal with that. When we embrace what's happening, then we can work with it. So be like water is like go with the flow, not to use force, but to use power, the power of flow. The interesting thing about force is when you use force, you have to keep generating the energy, whereas when you use power, it just flows like water. It has a self-energizing quality to it, like be like water, and just the power of letting go and letting be. And so when you think about swimmers can go with the tide and ease out of it. You're being pulled downstream, and the idea is always to go with the flow, but at the same time, inch over. It's similar to where I live when you're driving in the snow and when your car starts skidding, if you steer in the direction of the skid, you get back control of the vehicle and you can move from there. And it's interesting because when I learned how to drive years ago, my cousin Joe, we used to call him Little Joe because his father was Joe, he taught me how to drive. And one of the things he taught me was when I got into the car, to keep my foot on the brake, and when I put the car into gear, to let it roll, take my foot off the brake a little bit to see if it was rolling backwards or forwards. That way I knew what direction the car was in. And so that's similar to what I'm saying, is just let it go and just see which way it's going and then being able to go in that direction. So recently I acquired a workspace, and so I've been buying furniture for it, and it's a workspace, but it also it's a place where I can store clothes and stuff like that. And it's a small space, so I went to IKEA over the weekend, the store that specializes in small furniture. And of course, it was Massachusetts sales tax weekend. I didn't know that, so it was very crowded. So anyway, I go in the store and I'm looking around. I have no idea what I want, but then I started thinking about what the requirements were for the space, and I looked at a multiplicity of chest of drawers, and I found one, and it was a white one, and it had a ledge around it. So I like that. So in Kia, I don't know if you've gone to Kia, but they have the tag, and then they have, I believe it's the aisle number and the lot number. So it has two numbers. So you actually have to go and pick up the furniture, and it's not put together. So there's boxes. So I picked out this chest of drawers that was white. And so I go to the lot and the aisle and the lot, and I couldn't find it. So I asked the gentleman that was working there to help me out. And so he said, oh, that's sold out, and you have to go online and you have to reorder it. But we have the exact same item in gray, and it's over here, and we have it in stock. So I said, okay, I need something now. I took that, and then I checked out. And then, of course, when I got home, Now the challenge was how to put it together. I decided to do it myself and not hire somebody to do it. So it took me a couple of days to put it together, but I had known from the past that when I was putting it together, it was more like, okay, I'll do a little bit at a time. But I got to a place where I had doubt because I looked and I said, all the pieces aren't here. And then I reflected on it. I actually called the folks and they told me that, oh, okay, you got to look at it. And then I realized I did have all the parts. And then I started putting it together, but it was kind of like a flow. I did as much as I could do. Then I would stop. I would think about it, reflect on it, and kind of get through it. But I got through it, and at some point, I was able to put the whole thing together. And then when I put it in the position, in the spot I wanted it to go into, it actually looked better than the white would have looked. And so it's this idea of just that thing of me buying furniture, and I can have a lot of times during the day where it's something. It's like if I get a new gadget or if I go online, the only way I have to just kind of keep at it, go with the flow, see what's happening, see how I'm feeling. And so for me, that's a metaphor for how we need to be now, where we don't know what's happening from moment to moment. So for me, just like putting the furniture together, I did what I knew to do, and then the next step would be given to me. And I'd look at the instructions, and they weren't lacking. There was a lot not there that we needed, but I got through it. And so my suspicion is that that's what's required now, is we have to be like water, and things are, okay, so if we go into certain places and we have to wear a mask or not to wear a mask, that's fine. If we go into a place or we want to go to an eating place that we like and it's closed and we decide to go to another one, sometimes it's like, okay, I want to eat, I need to eat, I want to eat seafood, so what's the next best choice or the next choice, and just keep it moving instead of getting locked or attached to a certain type of furniture where now I have to order it and I have to wait for it and go through all of that. Whereas me being willing to be flexible, I was able to get what I wanted. And this is the interesting thing about goal setting or about having an aim, is a lot of times as we move through it, there's challenges and difficulties that come up. And the challenge is always to keep it moving. Okay, what can I do? How can I keep moving in the direction that I want to go? And I'm reminded of success is a progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. And so for me, even though it took me a couple of days to put that chest of drawers together, I felt a lot of satisfaction from having been able to do it and learning from it. And even when I was tightening up some of the screws, I know from past mistakes that if I'm forcing the screw in, you can strip the screw. So if it didn't fit, I'd say, okay, one didn't fit. So I took that one aside, put another one in, and then it fit perfectly. This is how we are with life, is we have to be flexible and we have to be willing to go with the flow. Okay, this is not working, not to force it, because we have to keep forcing it and it doesn't work. But if we can go with the flow, if we can be like water, and we can get to where we want to go, because water wears down everything and seeks its own level, and we're probably 70% water anyway, so maybe there's something about that. And I know water is kind of symbolic of consciousness, and so this whole idea of being like water, being flexible, being willing to change our mind, being willing to adapt and go with the way things are instead of being attached to a particular way of getting there. The idea is there's a goal, and if I'm going downstream and if I can ease over it, then I can get out of the current and then get to a place where I can actually have a choice on how I want to go or how I need to begin my journey. So this idea of be like water is available to all of us. This idea, and I'm sure you have your own experiences where you noticed that you just went with it and it ended up working out well. And sometimes when it doesn't work out as well as we want, we still get the job done and we still get to where we want to go. And if we can just celebrate the idea of just chipping away, getting to where we need to get to, we'll eventually get there. Whether it took me 2 days or 2 hours, the idea was I got it done, and I got it done without forcing anything and doing it in a pace that worked for me. And so that's the thing about being like water. There's a pace that we all have that resonates with us, and we need to work at that pace, not at someone else's pace. So being like water means to embrace whatever's coming up. generating hope so we can say yes to it. How do I relate to this in a way that empowers me, that keeps things moving, keep it flowing? And that's it.